right, we're going to talk to
Awesome.
Matthew. Hi, Matthew. You were
Hello,
on
hello.
Skep Talk on the line. What would you like to talk about today?
Well, I saw that the title talked about the soul, so I wanted to get into that, and then I wanted to share a concept, if we have time, a concept of God that an atheist might understand.
Oh, well, I generally understand the concepts of God. That's not my problem. it's not a lack of
Okay.
understanding, but we can start with the soul, if you would like. What was
Yes,
your question or statement about the soul?
Well, yeah, let's start with the soul. So I just wanted to point out that the biblical concept of a soul is that we are souls. You are a soul just as much as you are a person. You have a soul just as much as you have a person. Like if I was to ask you, do you have anything on your person? I'm using a possessive wording, but it's saying your soul. It just means your person, who you are. You are a living soul. According to the Bible, God breathed into Adam and he became a living soul.
Okay, so you're just saying the soul is a synonym for the self?
Yes.
Okay, so what attributes does it have that's different than when I just say that I am a self? Like, what's special about it?
Nothing necessarily special about it, more than what's special about you yourself as a human being. Do you find yourself special?
Well, do you think a soul exists after you die, for example?
I believe we'll be resurrected after we die, and our soul will be there.
Like bodily resurrected?
Yes. That's a whole nother concept. I just want to kind of stay in the lane of the concept of what a soul is.
So you just think a soul is a synonym for person?
That's what I'm presented to biblically.
That doesn't seem to be in line. The Bible talks a lot about the spirit, right? So
Right.
do you not believe
Which
in the
is different
spirit?
from the soul.
I'm
I
sorry,
believe in
what?
the spirit, which is different from the soul. I believe in the
Okay,
spirit, which is different from the soul, but I want to focus more on the soul, just so that we get an idea of what the soul is.
Okay, I thought that might be the case. That's why I brought it up. Paul,
No.
you're about to say something. Go ahead. Paul, can you hear me? Is it Paul?
Oh,
Looked like you
no,
were about
I
to say
wasn't.
something. Go
I
ahead.
was just enjoying. I was, yeah.
So if you're just saying that a soul is a person, then I really don't have any argument with that, because I think that being if you want to just use them as synonyms, and there's nothing of substance there, there's nothing that matters about it, and it's not even theological. You're just kind of like co-opting the word
do you
person
accept
and
that as
saying
a
that it's a
theological
soul.
concept?
I don't accept that as a theological concept. I think that you're more so co-opting it. I think that you're
So the
just
Bible
saying the
says
self
that
or being a
God breathed
person is being a soul, but you're not able to give anything substantive outside of personhood that qualifies it as special or different than just personhood.
So in Genesis 2:7, the Bible says that God breathed into Adam, and he became a living soul. He breathed the spirit into Adam, and Adam became a living soul. So he is to be a soul. He is a soul. He's not. It doesn't say that God breathed into Adam and he gained a soul. It's that he became a soul. He is a soul.
So you think a soul is a component of the body then?
A soul is all of you as a person. Adam became a living soul. So
I'm touching my nose right now. Is that part of my soul?
Yes.
I'm touching my hair. Is my hair part of my soul?
Yep, all of it. All of you is your soul. You are your soul. You're touching your person. You're touching your soul.
So your body and every aspect of your body. So like my toenails have the exact same attributes as the neurons in my brain.
All of it.
That seems silly to me. Like you don't see any differentiation.
I mean, it could be silly all live long day. It could be silly all live long day is what it is.
Yeah, but like
a lot of things that are silly.
So if I pull a hair out of my head, I just pulled a hair out of my head.
Yeah.
Okay, what happened to the soul that was in that hair?
There's no soul in the hair. It doesn't say God breathed into Adam.
But that hair, when it was on my head, was was my soul, right? So I just pulled the hair out of my head. I'm going to scratch some skin cells off my arm right now. Where does the soul go that was in those skin cells?
There's no soul in the skin cells. You are a soul. There's no ethereal.
But you
thing
just said that my
a soul.
hair was a part of my. Do you see where the concept's falling apart for me though? So my hair is my soul. My skin is my soul. My toenails are my soul. My brain is my soul. All of those are equally my soul, right?
No, it's a part of your soul. It's a part of your person. It's everything that's a part of your person. That is, your person is your soul. Person and soul are synonymous.
So they're equal to, like, there would be an equal sign with the 3 dashes, like the soul and the person are indistinguishable, and there's no utility in using one word over the other. You're not inferring anything.
Correct.
You're not definitely changing anything. In every sentence, you can swap those two things. So soul is a meaningless word, essentially.
If you want to call it that, that's just what we have, right? You're looking for the word soul. You're looking for a definition of, well, do we have a soul? What's a soul? You want to know what it is. It exists. It's there. That's what it is. If you want to use person, you can totally use person. If you want to find that the word soul is meaningless, then you can say the word soul is meaningless.
Yeah, I don't think it does have any substance, because if I die, my body is still entirely intact the moment after death, right?
Yeah, the only substance
now
the soul will have
wouldn't say that I'm a person anymore, any more than you would say that I have a soul anymore. So you have to. I mean, I guess your concept of soul seems kind of useless and a bit nonsensical to me.
That's what the Bible presents. I'm only.
Well, I mean, the Bible says lots of things that I think are useless and nonsensical, so I'm not overwhelmed with surprise.
Yeah.
So
fair. I'm just defining what a soul is.
I mean, that's your definition. I think a lot of theists would drastically disagree with you on that.
Probably, most likely. Yeah.
So you don't think it has anything at all to do with like consciousness or having like a sense of agency?
Your person is conscious, right?
Interestingly enough, like if you're saying a person is conscious, yes. Mm-hmm. Like if I'm using my vernacular, I would say a person is conscious, but you said like my hair and my fingernails are part of my soul, and all of the body is equally interchangeable, like a part of the whole. Right. So like my fingernails are the same as my lips, are the same as my brain, are the same as my heart, are the same as my knees.
No.
Okay, well that's counter to what you said prior.
Well, then I must have misspoke, because that's not what I'm presenting. All I'm presenting is, as Paul brought out, that it equals soul. Equal sign. If you want to say that the word soul is useless, by all means, say it's useless. It's there. You wanted to know why it's there.
Well, if you don't see any differentiation between a fingernail and a neuron, then I'm not even sure what we're talking about anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a distinction. Paul, you're on mute.
Yeah.
Nobody can hear you. I see.
Sorry, dog time. Word of God is living and active, sharper than any double-edged sword. It penetrates even dividing soul and spirit, joint and marrow. It judges the thoughts and attitudes of the heart. What do you do with that?
That's why I want to talk about spirit.
What do I do with? What do you mean? What do I do with that? Yes. So that's why I said.
Well, it's divisible, right?
Soul.
No, but it's divisible because
it
penetrates even to dividing soul and spirit, joint and marrow.
Your spirit and your soul are two different things.
Okay, so soul. So you are using the word spirit when all the other theists we hear, in the same way that all the other theists, not all the other, but many of the other theists we talk to are saying soul. So you have a concept.
No, that's the opposite. Most theists will use spirit, or use soul the way I use spirit.
All right. Well, let's not quibble about voting because we would might be just running.
Yeah. We don't need to worry about that.
So we don't need to worry about voting. Go ahead.
Your spirit is a part of your soul,
but a divisible part
from your soul. Yeah,
but a divisible part.
Correct.
Okay, so that is what we a lot of times encounter with the soul part, and that is the part that Shannon and I don't think exists and haven't seen good evidence that part exists. So we had a whole, I don't know how long we were talking, but that was apparently some kind of definition discussion, which is our least favorite thing.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's important to get it out of the way so we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to know,
so the meat of it is, the meat of it, do you believe that there is some part of us that is non-material and that survives our bodily death?
Yes. That's the spirit. That's a whole other conversation.
Okay. So talk about that, because I think that's the part we're interested in.
Yeah.
Okay, so just before we get into that, you understand what I mean by a soul? Do you accept that that is a biblical
You're using it in the
concept
same
of
way I
soul?
use the word person. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's a
mean,
synonym for person.
I'm not going to use it outside of this conversation. I'm not going to use it that way, but I'm happy to do so within the confines of this
You do use it, maybe not personally, but you use it. Oh, that poor soul over there, that poor person over there. Look at that poor soul over there. It's still in our vocabulary.
Okay.
So just because something is
No matter
used
if
in
you
common
want to deny
parlance
it, it's
doesn't
still in
mean
our
that people
vocabulary.
buy into the concept in the way that you're defining it. But that's
Well, we haven't gotten to the
that's a
spirit.
menial
I think
portion
what
of
you
this
guys are
discussion.
concerned with
So
is the spirit.
from your perspective, like we understand how. I just want to move past this. We understand how you're using soul now. After that conversation, we would see it as a synonym for the word person. So we would, if we're really talking about like definitions, like not just in common parlance, just saying oh bless his soul or whatever, like just just chit chatting. Then
We know it.
we
it.
would
We
use
use it.
person if we were getting down to the nitty gritty of a discussion. So it's trivial to me, like what people do in common parlance, because we're talking about something specific. So I understand how you're using it, and we would use it as person. That's not as interesting to me as talking about spirit, which is what I tend to want to talk about when people are talking about souls in most other instances. But in this instance, what I'm interested in talking to you about, and Paul is too, is spirit. Fair jumping off point?
Fair. That's fair, but it's important to establish that when we define the soul, because your title does say soul, it cannot be confused with spirit, which is commonly done, but it should not be confused with spirit.
Well, I mean, that's just sense? You having an internal fight with other theists, because I don't believe that the spirit or the soul, as other people would use it, exists. Mm-hmm. I believe if, for the sake of this conversation, so we can actually progress, I will agree that that is how you use soul. I understand it. Fine. We'll say that you are the theist who is right about it. You and your ilk are correct about it from a theological standpoint. Let's move past it so that we can talk about spirit.
You being a non-theist, also use soul the same way I would use soul.
I don't. I just don't.
And you cannot tell me how
I use words.
That is not a phrase I would use.
You are getting very stuck on people using things in common parlance as part of general vernacular. And that is not the same as talking very specifically and definitionally about concepts. So no, I'm not going to agree with it. And if you keep harping on it, we'll go in circles. So let's move past it to what we've agreed to talk about.
Yeah, we can move on to this. We can move on to the spirit. I understand what's going on. We can move on to the spirit.
Go ahead.
So your spirit, non-material, is your behavior, right? Your character. You can't touch it. You can't see it. You can hook yourself up to neurons and maybe detect some type of thing, you hook yourself up to a machine and test your neurons and see what happens when you express a certain character trait, I guess. But these character traits in and of themselves are not physical.
Okay, so you think that a spirit is how you act?
It's your behavior, yes.
What about what you think?
Those are your thoughts.
And you think that you would delineate the two? You would think that your thoughts and your behavior are completely separate?
No, I wouldn't say completely. I'm sure there are certain thoughts that influence your behavior.
So I just want to make sure I'm understood. So when you're talking about spirit is behavior, how you act.
Correct.
But how you think is separate from the spirit. It's not part of the spirit at all?
I would say it's part of the soul, because it's part of your brain, and the mind is a function of the brain. Even though the mind does exist and is immaterial, it is not necessarily the spirit.
So how you think is bodily,
but it's not separated.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get where you are right now, and I'm having trouble.
Yeah.
So how you think is bodily. It emanates from your brain. So you agree that that's bodily, but how you act is something different than how you think.
Yeah. So
right?
Thoughts can be an act. Like I said, they're not completely separate, right? They're not utterly. you asked, were they two completely different things? I would say they're not.
So there's overlap between the soul and the spirit.
Yes. You definitely
Where
overlap
does
between
that
the soul and
overlap
spirit, and
exist?
definitely overlap between your thoughts and spirit.
So your thoughts bleed into your spirit and can influence your spirit?
Correct.
So I don't understand how the spirit is separate at all then. So if your thoughts lead to your behaviors, why are these two separate concepts? Why wouldn't they all just be one concept? If your thoughts lead to your behaviors, and I would argue that they do, and I think anybody reasonably would, why would there be two separate concepts? Why would there be soul and spirit and not just one thing?
Right, because the soul, and I see what you're saying, and we can even say that the thought, your thought, could probably even be spirit because they're immaterial. But I would say that the soul is what causes you to think.
So I thought the soul was just like the entirety of your person.
Yes, that's why even as Paul read in the Bible that these things are so interconnected, but the Word of God is so sharp that it can divide the two. There's overlap and interconnection.
So this is getting muddy for me because now you're moving the spirit bar back into soul territory, into your concept of the soul territory. You're saying initially you started by saying the spirit is how you act. And now you're saying, well, that's obviously influenced by thoughts. Therefore, spirit has to go back into thoughts. So why isn't all of that spirit? Why isn't everything you think, all your sense of self and everything you do, like the entire concept of yourself and what you do and how you act and what you think, why isn't all of that spirit?
I got you. So you mentioned thoughts, right? And are thoughts material?
I think they're an emergent property of material, yeah.
No, but are they in and of themselves material?
Thoughts, no. Thoughts aren't material.
Okay. Yeah, they
any more than smoke is fire.
Yeah, gotcha. They have, right. So when there's soul, there's spirit. Perfect. So exactly. So that's why there's a difference. You have a brain that causes you to think, and then those thoughts are immaterial. So the immaterial part of you is the spirit.
So your spirit comes from your brain.
For us, So the comes from our soul, which is part of which our brain is part of, which is all of our person. So yes, so it comes from that. It acts at the very least. It acts in that, and I would say it even comes from that. That would be the genesis. So
your brain makes thoughts, and the moment your brain makes thoughts, they become spirit.
So yeah, so the thoughts are spirit. The thoughts are immaterial. So another word for spirit would be immaterial. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm getting you. So, but now I have a problem again because you said your soul is your entire person, but it seems like you're segregating the body from the thoughts, right? So you're saying the body, which includes the brain, produces thoughts that then become spirit the moment they're immaterial thoughts. So that means that your body's just like a shell that produces thoughts that then become a spirit.
So the thoughts are spirit already.
Soul just means flesh.
So yeah, and soul is flesh and spirit. Soul is all your person, including your spirit.
Okay, so if I was drawing a diagram, there'd be a big circle, and that would be soul. And then a little circle. But it's not inside of it, though. Because you're saying it's immaterial, which means that it can't be inside the body. It needs to be separate, so it would need to be outside, right? Because it can't be in the body if the body's separate.
So the body includes, your soul includes your body, your spirit, all of that. Your thought, you cannot have, like you said, you cannot have thoughts without a body.
I agree with that. Yes, you can't have thoughts without a brain. which
right.
needs a body to give it nutrients.
Right. You can have a vegetable.
So I agree with that.
Right. So right.
But
so
I don't think that my thoughts are my body.
No, they're not.
Right. And you don't think that your thoughts are your soul. You think your thoughts are your spirit.
Your spirit is part of your soul.
I don't know where you're putting the two of them together.
Because
you need them to be a whole,
you can't
but you're segregating them.
Without a brain, you can't produce these immaterial thoughts, behaviors, and actions, correct?
Yes.
So that's why that's where they connect.
So you need the brain to think, and the moment you think, that becomes your spirit. And your spirit, you wouldn't you like if somebody said, "Who are you?" You wouldn't say, I'm my arms and my legs and my brain. You would be the conglomeration of all of your thoughts. Like when I think of a person, now I'm not even sure where
that would be your person. There you go. When you think of a person or a soul.
Yeah, but the person is a soul.
There you go. You got it. Yeah.
I don't think I do because it seems to me that you have two separate concepts that don't need to exist separately, right? Like the spirit isn't a person.
Are your thoughts material?
No.
Okay.
They're not.
So there's an immaterial part of yourself, correct?
I think the immaterial part would probably more so be myself. Like when I think of myself, I don't think of myself as, just a physical body. I think of myself more so as, like a concept in my mind. An aggregate of all of my experiences. That is bodily.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I just don't understand the point of the spirit thing. So your body produces your spirit? Like, so what if something happens to your body? Does that cause a change in spirit?
It could. Like, if you get sick, your spirit can be downcast. So you can lobotomize somebody and directly impact
their spirit? Like, what does that do theologically?
Right. So that,
so what's the point of the spirit theologically then?
Lobotomies aside, let's say
that's an extreme example, but drugs, alcohol,
you get
concussion
sick physically. Right. Your behavior will change, so your spirit will change. That immaterial part of you that behaves. Because if you ask me who you were, and if someone said, well, "Are you a nice person?" You would say, "Yes, I'm a nice person," but you can't physically hand me your niceness.
I agree, but I could demonstrate it. So I'm not understanding what you mean. What does the spirit do? Like, why you're labeling like thoughts and the sense of self a spirit. What does that do theologically? I guess is what I'm more interested in now, because I'm pretty sure I get what you're angling at. Well, what does that do theologically?
It communicates with God, right? Because God wants our behavior to be a certain way, correct?
So your spirit communicates with God?
Yes.
So your body produces a spirit. Your spirit is beholden to your body because changes in your body will directly impact your spirit.
Correct.
And that is what connects to God.
Yes. God, if you believe in theologically the concept of God, God wants you to behave a certain way, correct?
I believe that the Bible does definitely say that God has specific designs on how people should behave, for sure.
How behave, how they should think. He's interested with your thought life and your behavior.
God loves a thought crime. That's true.
Yeah. So I know the thought crime thing. So, so that's exactly what God is concerned with: our thought life and our behavior life. So that's
our thought life is spirit. And behavior is spirit.
Let me explain. This immaterial part of ourselves, right, which you agree exists, our thoughts and our behaviors, is what God is concerned with. He wants us to have good thoughts. He wants our meditation to be good, and he wants our actions to be good. This is why when he says, if you lust after a woman, that is not
but in your model, we have no control over that, though. Like you're admitting that the body is creating thoughts and behaviors. So in your model, it's like you have a very determinist model. We would have no control. because our body is
We have
producing our
control.
spirit.
We have a good amount of control. There are influences.
Not
but we still
really.
have control.
No, like,
We have,
and you
we
have
have, we have
one-way
limited
trajectory.
control.
You have a one-way trajectory here, right? Because you're admitting that your body and which is your brain, produces your thoughts and your behaviors, which is your spirit, and that's what directly communicates with God. And the reason for that is because God wants us to have certain types of thoughts and behaviors, but it's not a two-way street. It goes one way, but not the other way, which means that you have more like a very sort of determinist model. So if your body and your brain are producing these thoughts and behaviors, how do you get to the point where you can control these behaviors in any way to appease God?
Mm-hmm. So these things are interconnected, right? Remember we talked about the soul and spirit being connected, right? We have immaterial thoughts, right? That can affect us physically. And we have physical parts about ourselves that can affect our immaterial thoughts.
So you think thoughts can affect physiology, which is true.
Hold on, I'm almost done. I need to make an explanation. This is why when Paulogia read that verse in the Bible, talks about the separation of the spirit and the soul. It's like that's the word of God. It does that separation. There's a reason why that is there. It's talking about what we're kind of discussing here, that these things are separate but very codependent.
So here's things I agree with you on. I agree that your thoughts can affect your physiology. And I agree that your physiology can affect your thoughts. I believe that because I see it all as interconnected. I see it all as an emergent property of physiology. So
fair enough.
Do you not see thoughts as an emergent property of physiology? Because it sounds like you do.
No. Yeah, from what I know, I do. They do. Now there could be some concept that I'm not privy to, but right now that's kind of how I see it.
So thoughts are an emergent property of physiology. So you're on the same page as me there. But when we get to the point that I would just call them thoughts, you're calling them spirit.
Yeah, immaterial things. That's the idea of spirit, this immaterial stuff. Which can you even call it stuff because it's immaterial, but this is just the best way I can explain it with my limited language. Yeah.
So you would just label thoughts spirit. And the reason that it needs to be called spirit and not just thoughts is because that's what connects to God, because God is very concerned with how we act and what we think.
To a certain extent, mostly because this is the language that we're given, right? We're given the word soul, we're given the word spirit. You're asking about the word soul, you're asking about the word spirit because we're given these words.
I just don't see how you're not a determinist, though. Like, it seems like you agree with my model, but you don't see it as deterministic.
I don't know what that means, right? I could be a determinist.
So you think physiology produces thoughts? You would label them spirit, but you think physiology produces thoughts.
As far as human beings are concerned, as far as we are concerned, as human beings, what we know now, what you and I know now in this fleshly body, we know that our brains produce something immaterial that can affect us materially, and vice versa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we agree on that. I just don't understand why you need to call it spirit, and I don't understand how you don't see that you're kind of a determinist.
Well, I call it spirit because that's what the Bible says. Now, the Bible said behavior, which it does at certain points, talk about behavior. It even says conversation, right? So we can even use the word conversation, but you would have no idea what I'm talking about. You'd be like, this guy is an idiot. What are you talking about? Conversation, right?
Oh, well, I'll throw you to Paul. If you want to talk about Bible stuff, that's Paul's wheelhouse, especially if it's New Testament stuff.
So
no, Paul, tag
the Bible tells women that they need to have chaste conversation, right? So does it mean that you're talking?
Oh, the Bible can lick my nuts. Do what I want.
So Matthew,
I don't know about all that. I'm not sure what that means.
Matthew, would you agree that thoughts are temporal? Thoughts have a beginning and an end.
Temporal.
Yeah, and that behavior is temporal. Behavior has a beginning and end, right?
Well,
my dog has temporarily stopped barking.
Pardon?
I'm sorry?
Say that again. Ask the question again. Or say that quote again.
Thoughts and behaviors have beginnings and ends, right? They're temporal. They exist in time. They're finite.
As far as we are concerned with our thoughts.
Like, I don't keep having, like, I thought I had a year ago I'm not still having.
Correct.
But I assume you want to say that a spirit is forever.
It really does depend on the spirit, I would say. For example, and this kind of actually bleeds into my concept of God. So maybe we can kind of shift over there. If it doesn't work, we can come back. But the concept of God is truth, right? Truth is not material. Truth does exist. It's an immaterial thing that exists, and I would say it was neither created nor destroyed.
Truth is a description. Truth is a description of how something.
What I mean by truth,
reality.
Right. What I mean by truth is the concept of reality. Like reality in and of itself exists.
Okay, reality exists. That's what you want me to agree to?
So yeah, so you would agree that reality exists, or even the concept of truth. I'll put it this way: the concept of truth exists.
Well, lots of concepts exist. The concepts of unicorns exist. So
that's fair.
Concept of Superman exists.
But the concept of truth is right. The concept of truth, we know what it is. It's practical. Remember, you're coming from a skeptic point of view.
Not enough people know what it is, but carry on.
Yeah, I understand there's going to be a back and forth here, but so the concept of truth, for example, you would not want to be lied to, right?
Depends.
If I was saying, hey guys, I was just lying this whole entire time, I was just joking, I don't believe any of this stuff, it would be a little bit offensive.
In a circumstance under which I'm expecting you to tell the truth, that's correct.
Right. And so, and that being the case, we do hold truth to a high regard. This concept of truth, I know you wouldn't want to use these words from a skeptic point of view, but we would worship it. We would say this is the highest thing. Anyone that goes against this or violates this concept,
not really. We actually
worship.
We actually value survival over truth. We've evolved that way.
So yeah. So in a sense, for example, Nazis come into the kick down the door, right? You want to say, you want to lie. And say, oh no one's here, right? You want to say another way.
No, but that's not even. You don't even need to. You don't even get to that. For example, our bodies have evolved to do all kinds of things that aren't really true. For example, and Shannon can absolutely correct me on this, but like for example, the color purple is really just a lack of green. There isn't really a true color purple out there. Like our eyes have evolved to create this thing because when there's a void in green, we need to fill it in with something. And so, but we value it because it helps us survive okay. And that's probably, there's thousands of other examples. We've just, any species is going to evolve to value survival ahead of other things, unfortunately. But so we don't actually, truth is valuable to us to the extent to which it helps us survive.
Right. So to avoid getting into the weeds, and I hear what you're saying, and I'm listening to that, I'm thinking about that. But the concept of truth is a immaterial concept. Would you agree?
Well, all concepts that's literally the definition of a concept. So
yeah,
sure.
Perfect. Fine. Just making sure we're on the same page in that. All right. So where does this concept come from? Did we make it up, or was it always in existence?
We have labeled certain things. So the label we created to describe a thing that existed.
Label made up. You are. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like, we didn't invent the concept of rocks, but we gave rocks a label.
Mm-hmm. Right. Exactly. So this thing that was not unlabeled before we labeled it, did it always exist?
Was there always a reality? I think there was always a reality, if that's what you're asking.
Correct. Right. So that is something, that is an immaterial thing that was not, you use the word.
Sorry. No. I'm okay. Were you asking me if the concept of reality existed before? Because it didn't. The concept of reality didn't exist until someone was around to conceive it.
Really? So before there was anyone to conceive it, it didn't exist.
Reality
The concept
existed.
of reality
The
existed, but not the concept of reality.
You need a people.
Okay, so
You need to
reality
understand
in
a
and of itself.
concept.
Right. Reality in and of itself. I would even say, just like rocks and labels and all that stuff, I would say that even this thing that something being true, this would be the concept. Something being true existed before we were ever looking around and being around to label it as true and as being true. Would you agree with that?
I don't know if I would agree with that, because I think truth is a concept of like that we evaluate. Like, you need a person to evaluate.
Truth, yeah. As far as I'm concerned, truth only applies to a proposition. That's actually my definition of truth: the extent to which a proposition conforms to reality.
So
truth is
the whole
have to have a
being able to
proposition.
communicate. Yeah.
Right. So, but this reality that remember, we're labeling, and we can label truth. We can label this concept anything we want. We can label it truth. We can label it verdad. We can label it whatever.
What are you angling at?
Okay. Sorry, Shannon.
I'm getting itchy. I'm trying to figure out what you're angling at here. I'm trying to figure out what you're angling at here.
I think Paulogia was going to say something fair. What was that, Paulogia?
I just said I'm not willing to label reality and truth as the same thing. That's all I was willing to say.
Okay. All right. That's fair enough. But when I talk about reality, I'm talking about truth, because it's like that is truth.
Wait,
but that's fair. That you can.
Are you saying reality is the same as truth? Like truth and reality?
I would say the concept of something being true. Like.
So you don't think reality predated truth? Like, you see them as the exact same concept?
It depends on how I label it. No, you can say that reality.
No. It doesn't depend on how you label it. Like, these terms have like commonly understood meanings. So reality is all of everything, right? All of everything that exists is reality. Truth is how you need reality. Reality is a precursor to truth. Truth can't exist without reality, because truth is how a proposition comports to reality. So if you're defining them as the same thing, you're creating a circle.
Was the existence
because
of
reality is truth, and truth is what comports to reality, and then circle. Reality needs to exist for the concept of truth to be embedded within it. They're not the same thing.
Was reality a true thing before the concept of truth existed?
You are now making a proposition that reality exists, and I would say
I'm only asking
true.
a question.
And I'm answering your question. You just made that proposition is what I would say is true. So did you make that proposition at the beginning of the known universe and time and reality? No. You made it now. That proposition doesn't exist in the ether.
What I'm asking.
Propositions only exist when
we're defining things differently, because you are saying reality and truth are synonymous. So your question is, did reality exist when reality existed, is what you're saying, because of the transitive property, the way you're defining it. You're asking, did reality exist when reality existed? And so we're saying that's nonsense. And
I don't mind using reality in lieu of truth. I don't mind scrapping truth for the sake of the conversation.
So you understand your question. Your question is, did reality exist when reality existed? You're acknowledging that, right?
What I'm saying is that was the idea of reality true, or was it true that reality was a thing?
Well, you're asking about just to be clear, you're asking about a proposition now, right?
Yeah.
I'm using that proposition, correct.
So yes, the proposition was, in the past, did reality exist? That proposition is true, but no one could have made that proposition until someone was around to make the proposition.
That is true.
Point.
That's
Yes,
very
you
true.
agree with us.
But just because
It's a tautology. You've made a tautology, and we're now just wondering if we've just played language games for this whole time, because you're using these words in ways that they haven't just you're using these words like soul.
Yeah.
Like
Are
you telling me that your concept of God is just God is reality?
To a certain extent, yes.
Or did God create reality?
But no, God is reality. I will say that. Reality always existed.
So God is a brute fact in your world, and reality is a brute fact in your world.
Correct.
They're both brute facts.
Yes.
Okay, so then why are we even then why do we need God? Then God is superfluous. Like the concept of God is clearly not needed because we have a concept of reality.
Well, this is why when I talked about reality we interact with reality, right? Just going back to the spirit and soul that Shannon asked earlier, right? We interact with reality. For example, for social.
I agree. We interact with reality. Get to the distinction between God and reality part, or we need to probably move on. So where's the distinction between God and reality?
There's no distinction. There's no distinction.
Okay, then
if you want to move on, move on.
We need it. Then what in the world do we need God reality concept for? What explanatory power? What does it give us?
Because we need to, as human beings, going back to spirit and soul and how it relates to theology, we need to live in a world in which we are, for the most part, as especially in a social aspect, we need to respect reality.
Okay, so, but you just said we're respecting reality. So you're affirming for me that the word God and the concept of God is superfluous in this whole discussion. It's redundant.
Well, do you agree that we need to respect reality and live right by it?
We don't need to respect reality. We're a component.
We don't need to respect reality, but we unfortunately we need to operate within the confines of what reality gives us.
We have to submit to
I can
reality.
have absolutely no respect for reality whatsoever. I can be like, damn you, reality, and it affects my life not at all. I can walk around going, reality is stupid all day, and it does absolutely nothing to affect my life.
When I say respect, I mean in action, not like respect with emotions and stuff. I mean like not jumping off a bridge because you will fall because of gravity. That's what I mean.
That
by
has nothing to do with reality. Reality is everything. It benefits our survival to understand how things operate in reality
and behave in a way that
knowing how gravity works. We don't need God for that, and which is why we would
under no obligation to behave in a way. We're under no obligation to behave in a way that is beneficial to ourselves.
Paulogia. Yeah, we're in no. We don't have any obligation to respect reality, but if we don't, there may be consequences.
It has nothing to do with respect, though. You're using terms as synonyms that aren't synonyms. We need to understand how things operate within reality to survive.
Remember
that is not the same as having respect for it, which I think is where your tier is going. I think you're saying we need the concept of God because we need to have respect for reality, which maybe is something like reverence to you, which means that we need to, somehow worship it. And that doesn't even get back to the point of the spirit where like now you're basically saying back to what you initially said, that reality has ways it wants us to think and act. Reality doesn't have ways it wants me to think and act. Reality cares not about me, period, whatsoever.
Do you know that?
Reality cares not about me. You can't make God a synonym for reality to say so that you can place your belief system as having respect for just everything that exists, and then do a complete code switch and go into saying, well, not only is reality everything that exists, it has feelings and designs for me in particular, and it wants me to act and think a certain way. Because that's smuggling your concept of God into a place where it absolutely doesn't belong and you have no justification to put it. And we just spent almost an hour getting to this point.
Remember, you're an atheist, correct?
I do remember. Yes, thank you. I remember that.
Okay. So you're an atheist. So obviously you're not going to understand an idea of what you just presented of a God caring about reality, caring about what you. I'm a Christian. I believe that's neither here nor there.
I understand the concept of God. I'm not allowing you to use him as a synonym for reality so that you can smuggle him into being everything. You can't, unless you're saying reality, like say it with me, reality doesn't want me to, reality wants me to. That sounds like nonsense because it is, because reality isn't an entity with feelings. It is everything.
You know this for a fact.
You're adding a level to it. You're adding on to it.
I asked you know this for a fact. You're making a claim.
Is God. God is reality. They are the same thing, except I'm going to give it properties reality does not have that I cannot prove and say it has thoughts, feelings, and desires that are specifically pertaining to me and you. I'm not doing that. You are.
Reality does not have this. Do you know that for a fact?
I am making a fact claim that reality does not have feelings, thoughts, and desires. Yes.
Yes.
I'll die on that hill. But I know for a fact that reality does not have feelings, thoughts, and desires. Yeah.
And how do you know this?
I'm confident.
Because
that's not what the word reality means. It's not an entity that's imbued with those properties. Reality means. You can't just redefine words and then tell me I don't understand that. That's bonkers.
You're all right. You're all right. I'm just trying to figure out.
I am fine. I'm not sure about you right now, but I'm good.
You agreed that reality is everything, right? That reality is matter and energy.
Yes, but everything is not reality, if that makes sense.
So, wait. But reality is everything.
Mm-hmm.
So are you trying to say that because some portions of reality care, that all of reality cares? Because you said that they're synonymous.
No. Like, for example, let's say I have a remote control in my hand, right? The remote control is part of reality. You cannot have a remote control without reality. The remote control doesn't care whether I do whatever or not.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Nor do the atoms in the remote control. Yeah. So.
But in your mind,
well, I don't know. I haven't spoken to the atoms, so I don't know. Maybe the controller does think that, right? But I'm not necessarily here to make such a claim. All I'm saying.
But you said God and reality are synonymous.
Mm-hmm.
When we are talking about reality, we are talking about matter and energy. That's what we are talking about when we talk about reality.
Okay, so anything outside of matter and energy is not reality?
That has never been demonstrated to
exist,
even within a mile of my satisfaction, that anything beyond matter and energy exists.
All right, so a thought, going back to the thought, is that matter and energy?
They are they're a property of matter and energy, yes.
They're produced by matter and energy, but are the thought in and of itself matter and energy?
Abstractions are not supernatural.
I don't know.
Abstractions are they are emergent. They are emergent properties. Are you telling me that God is an emergent property of the universe?
No, hold on.
Or that God is like
the question. You said something about matter and energy. I'm asking the question: is matter and energy, our thoughts, matter and energy?
Thoughts are absolutely produced by matter and energy. That's why we count matter and energy as reality and thoughts not as reality.
So thoughts are not in reality? Thoughts are not a part of reality?
Thoughts are not part of reality if you define it as matter and energy, no.
Well, that's why I'm not defining. That's why you're defining it as matter and energy, but I'm not. So I'm wondering.
But this is why I'm telling you that when you were trying to tell an atheist that God and reality are synonymous, you are smuggling in a whole bunch of stuff that we don't agree to, and that's why you're failing at this.
Well, don't be afraid of me smuggling anything. Let's just stick with the questions I asked you. You said matter and energy are part of reality, right? And then I asked you, were thoughts, matter, and energy? And then I asked you, are thoughts part of reality?
And I said no.
Okay, so you think that thoughts are not part of reality? Behavior and thoughts, these immaterial things, are not within the confines of reality.
Behaviors are descriptions of actions, and thoughts are again, they're abstractions of neurochemical processes.
Sure, but these things in and of themselves, you're saying, are not part of reality.
Is the concept of Superman part of reality?
No. Would you be able to answer my question?
I answered it, and you didn't like my answer. I said no.
So if they're not a part of reality, what are they? How do you come up with that concept?
They are abstractions,
which is not part of what reality is.
We store the abstractions, we use the abstractions, but abstractions are not matter and energy. No.
I'm not asking if they're matter and energy. I'm asking are they part of reality.
That's what I'm saying.
He's saying no. He's saying that thoughts are not.
No. Okay, that's an interesting
part of his definition of reality.
I have to think about that. I don't want to waste too much of your time. I got to do something in 5 minutes anyway, so I appreciate the talk.
Yeah, okay. We've been talking to you for almost an hour. Yeah. Give us a call back sometime, Matthew. Have a lovely rest of your day, evening, whatever it is where you are.
You guys do the same.
Have a good day.
Yes. Take care. Bye.
Well, that went all over the place. That was fascinating. You and I have to talk after this about thoughts as abstractions and reality, because I need to unpack that. All right. I have an announcement. Everybody. I have several announcements. You can go on our Patreon and support us on Patreon, because that's cool. And we also have other shows that you can watch that are almost as good as this one.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jimmy Snow, executive producer of The Line, and the rumors are true. Forrest Valkai is, in fact, a hostage in my basement. If you would like to contribute to his freedom one day, you can do so by supporting us over on Patreon or becoming a channel member. There are specific tiers for specific shows or the channel at large. You can also send us super thanks. Those are great. You can like, comment, and subscribe. Also, fudge the algorithm. Go to one of these things. The algorithm doesn't matter. It thinks it knows you better than we do, better than you do. I know you better, Hank. There's a bunch of people named Hank. I just freaked way out. Okay, go to one of these.